We move on yet again into 2022-2023 season previews with the Tampa Bay Lightning today. Obviously, the Lightning were a team that has made the Cup Finals 3 years in a row. They won 2 of those 3 finals, and of course, this last final, they lost to the Colorado Avalanche. Nonetheless, this team is still amazing, and it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do this coming season. Excuse me. Anyways, looking ahead, or actually, no, not looking ahead, looking behind at last season, they went 51-23-8 for 110 points. They scored 287 goals and only let in 233, and they lost in the Cup Finals against Colorado in 6 games. Your leading scorer was Steven Stamkos, who had 42 goals, 64 assists for 106 points, and then your goaltender was obviously Andrei Vasilevskiy with a 39-18-5 record with a 2.49 goals against average. Definitely a down year for Vasilevskiy, statistics-wise, but nonetheless still an amazing goaltender. But overall, another great season by Tampa. They made the Cup Finals the 3rd year in a row. And could this team make it for a 4th year? Now, I said no to a three-peat last year. I kind of was right, obviously. But, I mean, could this team make the finals again? I wouldn't doubt it. I definitely would not doubt it. But the departures definitely is going to make it more difficult for this team to get there. Andre Palat, Ryan McDonagh, and Jan Rutta are your 3 departures that Tampa had this offseason. It seems like every single season you'll see players just leave the team, and that makes sense. A team as stacked as Tampa is definitely going to have players who really can't stay on this core. Is this core weaker? Probably. I mean, they got some solid players back in return, but I mean, you get some blows to your defense, you get a blow to your offense. It definitely hurts them, but I still think this team's still a good enough team to be really good this coming season. Just not as good as maybe past years before. Your acquisitions, you have Vladislav Namestnikov returning to the team. You have Phil Myers acquired in the McDonagh deal. You have Hayden Fleury, and then you have Ian Cole. So 3 of those 4 acquisitions are defensive acquisitions, so likely going to play middle pairing at best, if not probably just a 3rd pairing guy. Obviously, some solid additions there to the back end. I don't think it's too bad at all, but overall, kind of a interesting offseason. They definitely lose a big blow to their top 6 in Palat, but I think with the guys that they have, I think they're relying on those guys down below to play well, and it's really smart. You see, they acquired Hagel, they acquired Nick Paul in previous years, and that makes them even younger. Those 2 players are decently young. It makes them consistently younger, and it can make them consistently better, and I think Nick Paul and Hagel will definitely show some signs of potential with Ottawa, with Tampa this coming season. Looking at your projected lineups now, you have Alex Killorn, Steven Stamkos, and Nikita Kucherov on your first line. Then Nick Paul, Braden Point, and Brandon Hagel on your second line. So obviously a really powerful offense there. Stamkos and Kucherov, 2 unbelievable players. Kucherov, hopefully he can stay healthy. Definitely. I mean, Kucherov hasn't played a full season since 2018-19 and has still put up incredible numbers in the time that he has played. So I definitely think that if he can have a full healthy season, he could actually repeat what he did in 2018-19 where he put up like 120 points. He could definitely do that again, 100%. He is still that good of a player, and we're going to start talking about, how good Kucherov is. Is he top 5? Is he better than Matthews? All those questions are going to come up, and all those arguments are going to come. I'm ready for him, and I'm hyped to talk about him. Obviously there, but still a really good top 6. On your bottom 6 there, you have Ross Colton, Anthony Cirelli, who will be out for a little bit this coming season, and Vladislav Namestnikov. Then you have Patrick Maroon, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Corey Perry. Then you have Fortier, Smith, and as well as that, Alex Barrett-Ballet. I'm going to say it right this time. If you guys watched my preview for last year, you would know I butchered that name. I just couldn't say it. But overall, definitely a weaker bottom 6, absolutely. I mean, Ross Colton's one of those players who really was down in the Lightning's depth chart, wasn't really thought to be much, but still turned out to be a really good player with Tampa. Cirelli, him being out, that is a huge blow to that center core, 100%. I mean, that pushes everything up. You're going to have Bellemare as a third-line center. I'm not sure how that's going to fly. Namestnikov, still a solid bottom 6 winger. Definitely can play well for Tampa. And then obviously that bottom line there, Maroon, still the Maroon we all know and love, and then Corey Perry as well. The bottom 6 is definitely significantly weaker, but I still think it's manageable. It's definitely not horrible by any means. Your defense is still really powerful. You have Victor Hedman and Mikhail Sergachev as your first pairing. Then you have Ian Cole and Eric Chernak as your second pairing. Then you have Hayden Fleury and Phil Myers as your third pairing. And then you have Cal Foote as your extra defender. I would imagine Cal Foote, though, actually gets some time to play up in the lineup this coming season. So definitely that's an interesting thing to look at. Absolutely, the blue line may be a little bit weaker with guys like Jan Rutta and Ryan McDonough leaving. Again, those two players are really key to this Lightning blue line, and it made this blue line so much more powerful. Is it weaker? 100%, but I don't think it's like so weak they'll miss the playoffs. Still some really solid younger defensemen definitely added to that lineup. Fleury and Myers are still young and still has some upside to them. And then obviously Foote coming into the lineup will be solid as well. Your goaltending tandem, as per usual, is Andrei Vasilevskiy and Brian Elliott. Your same tandem as last year. Looks like Tampa kind of finally found their really solid backup goaltender in Brian Elliott. And then you have Lagasse as your third-string goalie. But don't leave out Hugo Alphanet. He's listed as the Lightning's best prospect by the Hockey News and could show some serious potential with the Lightning 100% if he plays a few games in net this coming season. Your biggest questions facing the Tampa Bay Lightning this season: will they have sustained success? And by sustained success, I mean playoff sustained success. Now, last year I said this team just can't. They won't be able to make the Cup Finals again. They probably won't get past the second round. I'm not saying that this year. I'm not. I really believe that this team could honestly go for another run and solidify themselves as a really honest to God dynasty if they go up and win yet again another cup or even get to the finals again. This team is that good of a team. Brisebois and Yzerman have built an amazing core over the past couple of years, and acquisitions like Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul. And then last year you obviously had guys like Barclay Goodrow, and you had guys come into the lineup, and then years before you had Blake Coleman. You had so many other acquisitions come into this lineup as the years rolled along. And I definitely think this year this team will make their trade deadline push, acquiring a really underrated forward like they did this year in Hagel and Paul. Those two are young and they still have a lot of potential in them, and that definitely is smart because that keeps them better in the long run, 100%. If they kept guys like Palat or Coleman or anybody like that, they would probably get worse faster, but I definitely adding these younger players to the lineup still make this team really good. And then especially there too, I mean, like their prospect pool isn't all too bad either. So, and that kind of, it really, I mean, you got guys like Isaac Howard, you got Jack Finley, you got, let's see here, Nick Petrix, you have Jack Thompson, Lucas Edmonds. You got some solid prospects still to come here. And a guy like Ross Colton's also another prime example of that. They still have some really solid prospects to come, and I'm super excited for what is happening for the Lightning for years to come. They just are an amazing team. They're going to be. Your other question is, will they stay healthy? And there's a couple people I'm talking about here. Obviously, Cirelli, and I also forgot Zach Bogosian is also out. Completely forgot. He's like on the side of my page just so I don't forget him, but I did. Obviously, you had that. You're going to have injuries again this coming season. Kucherov is probably the biggest example of will they stay healthy. It is definitely a big question because with the way these guys play, they're going to get injured. But I definitely think they probably could stay healthier than previous years and still put up really good sustained success. They're still a really good hockey team after all. Moving on here to your point-o-meter, according to the Hockey News' fantasy guide, they're banking on Kucherov having a full season of playing fully healthy, and they rightfully so put him up at 112 points, which I think is really impressive there. You have Steven Stamkos in second with 91, Braden Point in third with 81, then you have Victor Hedman in fourth with 73, then you have a huge drop all the way down to Alex Killorn with 50, so definitely there, Kucherov, if he plays a full year, he can still get 112 points. I still think Stamkos is capable for another 100-point season. Some people may say, oh, this was just another, like, one of those one-off seasons, because Stamkos is kind of getting to the point in his career where he might start regressing. But I still think he has another 100-point season in him, if not a couple, so we'll see how Stamkos can do. Your sleeper or your bust is actually Ross Colton. Count Ross Colton as yet another late-round gem mined by Tampa Bay. He played a key role in 2 playoff runs and scored at a 30-point pace while averaging 12 minutes and 48 seconds per ice time in 2021-22. A top 6 roller rates with Andre Palat gone. That is definitely something to keep an eye on there 100%. Colts is one of those like late round draft picks that really turned out really good for Tampa. They've had a lot of those in the past before. And that's why I'm not counting any of these guys on their prospect pool or any guys that aren't even listed. Like players that like Tampa selects, they could like turn into somebody huge in later on in their career. And Gabriel Fortier is one of those players that I could say he's probably one of those players who could be the next guy up to potentially become that next gem. But obviously that's definitely something to keep a look at. Your cup odds for Tampa are 13-1. So that's probably, I think, the highest or the lowest we've covered so far. That is significant. I think they definitely can win it again. Even with all the success over the past several years, John Cooper rarely gets recognized as one of the NHL's best coaches, having never won a Jack Adams Award and being only named a finalist twice in 9 years. Same for Brisebois, who has shown boldness at trade deadline while performing salary cap gymnastics to keep the team competitive. Tampa added former Detroit coach Jeff Blashill to replace the outgoing assistant Derek Lalonde, who took the head job with the Red Wings. Obviously, the coaching staff, and as I mentioned, Steve Yzerman and Julien Brisebois have built a team that has not only been good for the past 5 years or so, but it's going to be good for the next 5 years or so, and maybe even beyond that. Like, this team is I just love, like, the way this team develops players and develops prospects and the way this team plays. Just an unbelievable group down there in Florida, and I absolutely love to see it. Now, your question is, do they make the playoffs in 2021? I said yes. In 2022, I said yes. I'm saying yes again. I mean, without a doubt. This team definitely makes the playoffs. They could challenge for first in the Atlantic 100% unless there's something freak that happens like Vasilevsky gets injured and Kucherov gets injured and you see a ton of injuries with this team. I think they definitely make the playoffs, and I'm not counting them out for a fourth cup run. I'm not counting it out for a fourth time going to the finals. I definitely would not count it out, and if they win yet again another Stanley Cup, that solidifies them as an absolute dynasty, and it is a great accomplishment for me to cover something like that on this YouTube channel. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching. For Spurs, I really do appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe down below if you are new. And anyways, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.